Baby, let me tell you, if you want a good old-fashioned kiki on this good day before Thanksgiving, let me tell you to head on over to the B Scott page right as soon as you finish watching this video, okay? Don't go now because I got to give you the tea, okay? I'm gonna give you a good summarization, but you got to watch it for the intricacies of the dialogue and the magic amongst the three people involved, okay? You got B. Scott interviewing Dr. Heavenly and Quad. Now, make no mistake, I saw this earlier and I reposted it. What day was it? The day that it came out, I think it was Monday. Was it Monday? I was traveling, so I saw it and I was like, ooh, let me just show my support to the peeps. You know what I'm saying? To let the people know that it's out there. Okay. Do my part in spreading the magic. And I said, I'm going to watch it later, right? So later, turned into today. Okay. Fast forward. I got to watch the entire thing today. And I'm here to tell you that if you thought that Sunday night was must-see TV, Monday was also must-see TV. Okay. And I ain't talking about my review. I'm talking about this conversation was everything. So I'm going to break it down to you guys right now. The tea, okay? The tea, the sweet tea is hot, baby. The block is hot, okay? So just to give you guys a little visual, because we like to do a little show and tell, all right? Everybody's looking good. Quad was, just ready to do some green screen. So she was getting the hair done. B had done some things earlier that day. And then Dr. Heavenly was also looking good. And so we got to get into all the things that were shared because we got a lot of tea. I'm going to go ahead and warn you. I'm going to forewarn you. If you do not want to be spoiled, if you don't want spoiler alerts for this coming week's episode, go on ahead and hit the mute button right now because I'm going to go ahead and tell you we about to get into some spoilers too, okay? Now let's get into a couple of different little things, right? Number one, so there was some question about, people commenting about, Sweet Tea and Dr. G moving into, Sweet Tea moving into the house that Quad previously lived in, right? And so Quad says, well, that the house that they're in was actually refinanced. And she doesn't know why it was refinanced because they ended up getting it on a short sale. Because the question was, does Dr. G got it going on like that? Because Sweet Tea was talking about having access to the money. Okay, like she said in the show, little access to the money, little access to the money. Or as Quad would say it right here.
Down with times. The wife sat down with times and said, some of that stuff that Quad said is true. Some of that stuff, and Quad is right about the truth thing. Well, what is she writing this? What is she writing about? What do you think? Like,
we're gonna get into that later, okay? I just can't ever get past the impersonation of Sweet Tea saying, and the way she was talking, a little access to the money, the way Dr. Heavenly B imitate her, it is insane to me. Now, make no mistake, I know a lot of y'all feel like, why everybody coming so hard on Sweet Tea? First of all, let me just say this. I think that Sweet Tea is everything. Okay, she is, as Dr. Heavenly stated on this live, she is the MVP of the season. And quite honestly, I think if she can get through this first season, I agree with Dr. Heavenly. She's gonna be all right. But and I also think that there's this too. Sweet Tea, in my opinion, need to start doing the interviews, right? I ain't gonna even lie to you. We reached out to her to try to get an interview scheduled, and I don't know if we ever heard back because I gotta get with my people to find out if we heard back. But I'm like, yo, you ain't got to be shady in your interviews. You just get your story out there or whatever like that. You know what I'm saying? But maybe she is also waiting to get some type of, verification from the network if she can. Because, a lot of times new reality TV stars, it be a while before they feel okay with doing interviews because a lot of times they work under the impression that they need to get approval from the network. And a lot of times they do, right? But a lot of times, most of these stars, they just be able to do interviews. But again, sometimes depending on the cast, they got to go through PR and obviously go through the PR people, right? Do the right things. But I'm just kind of letting you guys know how things typically work when we trying to like set up interviews and stuff like that, for which I don't really do a lot of them, right? Because again, I'm not a scheduling type of person, right? I hate a schedule. I hate it. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Okay, anyway, so listen. So apparently, here's some tea, right? When Sweet Tea got the call about the wedding costing $14,000 more, okay, you know, the question on the table is, well, I mean, you getting a little access to the money, you know what I'm saying? Or is the money funny, right? So apparently, I don't know if Dr. Heavenly was joking about this, but apparently Dr. Jackie was about to donate to make up for the difference in what they was owing. Now, again, I don't know if Dr. Heavenly was like joking about that whole situation or not, but even Quad said, well, she was even thinking to herself about, joining in and helping pay for the thing. She was like, but she could have, Quad could have afforded that entire 14,000, baby. Okay. So, I mean, it was very, very interesting. So we got that bit of tea. So the question on the table is, does Dr. G have it going on like that financially? I mean, I don't know. Now, there is some talk about whether or not, they would have put this relationship on the show at such an early stage. And Dr. Heavenly says there were red flags going into this situation. So it's not something that she would have necessarily done. You know what I'm saying? And I personally don't know that I would have either. I mean, I think because the relationship is so new, it's still in its infancy stages, even though they're married at this point. But still, I feel like, when you bring your relationship to reality TV, you got to be prepared for everything that kind of comes along with it. But there's more. Okay. Now, here's where we get into some tea. Now, next week's episode, if you don't want to be spoiled, I'm going to go ahead and warn you that this is a spoiler alert. Dr. Heavenly reveals, because, B. Scott was asking the questions. Dr. Heavenly reveals that yes, her name is off of the list for next week's wedding. Okay. However, .org, apparently she does get asked to be brought back in by production. So production brings her back in because they're like, you can't do this without Dr. Heavenly here. Apparently, also, too, it sounded like Phaedra might have been on the chop list as well. But Phaedra was like, well, I recommended the minister, so I'm going to take the preacher with me if I go. Okay. So Phaedra pulled a trump card on him and said, not today, not me, girl. Okay. So the reason why she thinks that she was on the chop list, Dr. Heavenly says, is because apparently she and Quad were having some level of discussion about, the red flags going into the relationship and some deep things that were, being said that weren't shown on the camera. Okay. These were things that I guess maybe were overheard by Sweet Tea or ran back to Sweet Tea, and Sweet Tea must have like felt some type of way about it, I'm assuming. And so that was why Dr. Heavenly got the chop, but production said not today. Okay. Speaking of the wedding, Dr. Heavenly said it was over in a hot minute. You know what I'm saying? And it really didn't give big budget or anything like that, and it definitely didn't give Bravo according to the Quad. All right. So we do get that bit of spoiler type tea. Now, some other tea that we get is the question is, does Dr. G want to be famous? Because why else would you do this show, right? So, it was initially said by Sweet Tea that Dr. G that she wanted to do the show. Dr. G didn't want to do the show. Then it became Dr. G wanted to do the show and she didn't want to do the show. And so Quad pipes in and is like, basically, Dr. G wants to be famous, okay? Because after she got into it with Lisa Nicole, when Lisa Nicole threw the glass at her or whatever like that back a couple of seasons ago, She says that Dr. G was like, "Oh no, you can't quit. Well, what am I gonna do?" And she was like, "Well, you'll be all right. People will still know who you are." But he was so concerned about knowing, all right, what people knowing who he was. And so she does confirm that he does want to be famous. He does want to be known in this reality TV world. And Dr. Heavenly feels like that it felt like, I don't know if it was Dr. Heavenly or if it was B who said that. I think it might have been Dr. Heavenly who said that, the idea, they wondered if the idea was that it would be vindication for Dr. G to be back on the show with his new wife. But that is where we get this clip from Quad on our friends over at Reality Chats page. They happen to pull this part right here with Quad talking about how it was actually vindication for her because Sweet Tea is telling us that Dr. G is controlling. And that's where we get the story of the robbers. Remember this?
Sit down one time and said, some of that stuff that Quad said is true. Some of that stuff, and Quad is right about truth things. Well, what is she writing this? What is she writing about? What do you think like what? He was control, the whole thing we said, or the house was broken into, and because I didn't turn on the alarm.
So Dr. Heavenly told her, Sweet Tea was gonna get her. Sweet Tea had already told her, had already told the people that she had to get the demons up out the house, that from when Quad lived there and whatnot. And Quad said, well, she's still in the house and she's still with the demon. I said, well, all right now. Quad makes it known that she would never get back with him. She is the one who wanted the divorce, not him. She is still to this day protecting him from, I guess, certain things being out there. She's protecting him and his occupation. And so I'm like, girl, what you trying to tell us without telling us? Okay. That's very, very interesting. I'm curious, what do y'all think she is protecting? So I don't know. Although they do preview that Quad will be going through quite a bit this season, quite a bit, and she's had quite a few sleepless nights throughout this season. And I think that there may be some tension between Quad and Phaedra coming up that we may see. So I'm interested to see how that all plays out. Anyway, y'all make sure y'all go check it out. I didn't give y'all all the details, but I gave y'all enough to hopefully get you intrigued enough to go back and watch it and get the kiki for yourself. I want to know what y'all think. This is so intriguing. It's so super intriguing to me. It reminds me of when Dwayne Wayne was dating was it Keanu on A Different World, and Whitney was still in the picture. Like that's what this whole situation is giving me. Dwayne, Keanu, and Whitley. You know what I'm saying? Chime in if you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's the TV we got for y'all today. Make sure y'all enjoy yourself this holiday week, Thanksgiving, all that good stuff. Eat some good food, and I will catch y'all, of course, in the next video.